right, so previously we learned about the angle relationships that are created by a transversal. Today, we're going to focus on what happens when we have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay, so I'm going to draw two parallel lines. I want you to draw what I draw. So, what do I know about parallel lines? Talk to me. What do I know about parallel lines? They go forever, but they never what? They absolutely never, they're side by side, they never ever touch, okay? Now, in order for you to know these are parallel lines, you're going to draw a little triangle on there. Any lines that have that little triangle, they are parallel to each other, okay? They go on forever, they never slant any different. So that when I take a transversal and I cut them, the cool thing about that is every angle is now equal to the up to another one or supplementary to that one. And so what we have to do now is we have to take these types of angles that we learned before and we have to figure out if they are going to be congruent, which means they're equal, or supplementary, which means they add up to be 180 degrees. Now, there's a couple of these that you would already know based on previous lessons. Angles that form a linear pair. So these two make a linear pair. These two make a linear pair. These two make a linear pair. If you make a linear pair, what are you creating? You're creating a line. And what do you know about a line? It's a straight line. How many degrees is it? 180. So linear pair is always going to be supplementary. Okay? So they add up to equal 180 degrees. Now, another type of angle that you already know and you have experience with are vertical angles. So vertical angles are cross intersecting lines. Like these are vertical and these are vertical. And what do you already know about vertical angles? They're always going to be equal, which means they are congruent. So vertical angles are congruent. That means they are equal. So if I know one of them is 52, I know the other is 52. All right, so let's start now with some of our newer angle relationships. Corresponding angles. We learned that those angles are in the same spot on the same side of the transversal. Here's your transversal, okay? If you are in the exact same spot, I want you to look at this one. That appears to be that is a corresponding angle to this one. What does it look like about these two? What do you think you can tell? They look like they are the same size. These two are corresponding angles. They are the same side. The reason that works, you're paying attention to me and nothing and no one else. The reason that works is because of the parallel lines. Parallel lines are going at the same slope. So this transversal, anytime you have corresponding angles, they are going to be congruent. So one of them equals the other. Okay? All right? If you have alternate interior angles, these two angles are alternate interior. These two are alternate interior. They are also congruent. They are the same. All right? Alternate exterior. This side and this appear to be the same. That's because they really are congruent. Now, let me show you something I noticed as a student. I noticed that if I zigzag down this transversal, that zigzag, I mean go alternate and go down, that they will be equal. So, if this is my transversal, this is my transversal because it cuts the two parallel lines. This only works if your transversal is intersecting parallel lines. If I start here, I'm going to zigzag to my vertical angle, okay? Corresponding angles are congruent, therefore, these are equal. So what do I know about all four of these? They are equal to each other. Well, what's that mean about the other four? They equal to each other. And when I put a marked one with an unmarked one, what do they make? Straight line. Mark and an unmarked make a straight line. Mark and an unmarked make a straight line. All right? Consecutive interior. These two, same side interior, they are not congruent, but a marked and an unmarked make 180 degrees, so they are supplementary. Find a set of consecutive exterior. Consecutive means same side exterior. These are consecutive exterior. They are not congruent because they're not marked congruent. But one that's marked and one that's not make a straight line. They are supplementary. All right. Example 1, we're going to identify the angle pair as either congruent or supplementary and give your reason. Your reason is one of these angle relationships. Okay? So, if it is corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, or vertical angles, the two measurements would be congruent. Consecutive interior, consecutive exterior, and linear pair, those would be supplementary. All right? So, look at my figure. Here's my two parallel lines. The line that intersects two or more is my transversal. All right, so I color that with my green highlighter. So that's my green transversal. The first two angles I'm going to find are angles 1 and 5. Are 1 and 5 on the same side of the transversal or alternate sides? Oh, what did I say? 3. That's what I meant. 3 and 5. Okay, so 3 and 5, are they on the same side or alternate sides? Alternate sides, okay. Now, are they in between the parallel lines or outside? They are interior, right? So that makes this an alternate interior. And what did we just say about alternate interior angles? Alternate interior are congruent. So if you know that this is 80, that is exactly 80. Okay. All right. Look at angles 1 and 8. All right. Angles 1 and 8. Are they on the same side of the transversal or alternate sides? Talk to me. Same side. Thank you. Are they corresponding? So they would be same side, same spot. No, that's your top left. That's your bottom left. So they're not corresponding. Are they interior or exterior? Exterior. So we would classify this as consecutive exterior. Now, consecutive exterior, are those congruent or supplementary? Supplementary. What does it mean to be supplementary? They add up to equal 180. So what you're trying to do now is you're just trying to get in your head, what are the types of angle relationships and are they congruent or supplementary? Because we're going to throw numbers in here in a minute and you'll tell me what is the actual measure. All right. Letter C says 2 and 6. Are 2 and 6 on the same side of the transversal or alternate sides? Same side. Are they same side, same spot by any chance? They are. They're both top right, top right. That means they are corresponding. And if they are corresponding and they are sitting in the exact same side, the exact same spot, what do you notice about those two? They're going to be congruent. They are the exact same thing. All right, my next angle pair is angle 1 and angle 7. So angles 1 and 7. Are they the same side of the transversal or alternate sides? They're on alternate sides, okay? Are these two angles interior or exterior? Exterior, because they're outside of those parallel lines. So alternate exterior. And what did we say about alternate exterior up top? Alternate exterior are going to be congruent. So that means if you know that measure of angle 7, you automatically know the measure of angle 1. All right, my next two, angles 4 and 5. Are those on the same side of your green transversal or opposite sides? Same side, so that means consecutive or possibly corresponding. Are they on the same side? Are they in the same spot? That's bottom left. That's top left. Not same spot. Okay, so they must be consecutive. Are they interior or exterior? Are they inside the two parallel lines or on the outsides? That would be between, so they are consecutive interior. Now, what do you know about consecutive interior angles? What does it say up here? They're going to be supplementary, which means those two add up to give you 90 degrees. Not 90, 180 degrees. All right, angles 3 and angle 7. Here's 3, here's 7. Are they the same side or alternate sides of the transversal? Same side. Are they by chance same side, same spot? Yes, both bottom left, so that makes them corresponding angles. If they are same side, same spot of a set of parallel lines in the transversal, that means they are congruent. All right. Angle 5 and angle 6. 5 and 6 are on alternate sides, but they are also adjacent. What do angle 5 and angle 6 make? When they are side by side forming a straight line, we call that a linear pair. And if it is a linear pair, well, that is adding up to make a straight line, which is 180, so those would be supplementary. And then finally, the one that is really stressing us out a bit today, angle 2 and angle 4. They are on alternate sides of the transversal, but they are intersecting right here. When they are across their intersection, those are vertical angles. And what do you know about vertical angles? They're equal, so they are congruent. All right, so what we just talked about was whether the types of angles are congruent or supplementary. That's great to know, okay? Here's what I noticed. I noticed that angles 3 and 5, they are congruent. So 3 and 5, I can mark those congruent, right? What is also, so look down here. What is also congruent to 5? 7, because they're vertical angles. What is also congruent to 3? 1, because they're vertical angles. Now, this is true. This is what I observed as a student, and I call this the zigzag. If you zigzag across and down that transversal, anything I mark is equal. So 1, 3, 5, and 7, they're equal to each other. So when I say 3 and 5, that's congruent. When I say 1 and 7, they're congruent. So if the ones I marked are congruent to each other, what can you tell me about 2, 4, 6, and 8? They're equal to each other, okay? So marked equals each other, unmarked equals each other. What does one marked angle and one unmarked angle create? Physically, what did it make? Straight line. A marked angle and an unmarked angle create a straight line. Marked angle, unmarked angle. That means if you have one that's marked and one that's not marked, so a 1 and an 8, they're not equal to each other, but they add up to be 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this one. And the first thing I want us to do is I want us to notice that zigzag. Okay, I'm going to start with any angle I want to. I'm going to start with 8, and I'm going to mark it all the way out here. What is 8 also congruent to and why? It's congruent to 7. Why? Because they are alternate exterior angles. What else is 8 congruent to? 4. Why is 8 congruent to 4? They're vertical angles. So what about 7? 5. Each of those are congruent. Here is my transversal. So you pick an angle and you zigzag. You jump across the transversal back and forth. Those are equal. So now that's going to make it a whole lot easier to figure out if two things are equal. If they're marked, they're equal to each other. If they're not marked, they're equal to each other. If one is marked and one is not marked, they're supplementary. So angles 2 and 3. Would you say these are congruent or supplementary? They're both not marked. So they're marked, they have the same thing. So those are congruent. Now, What kind of angles are 2 and 3? They're on opposite sides of the transversal and outside the parallel, so they are alternate exterior angles. Okay? So I clear my mind. Angles 1 and 5, are they marked to be congruent? Nope. So if they're not congruent, one is marked and one is unmarked, then that is supplementary. So those two would add up to be 180 degrees. Now, what kind of angles? What's their relationship between 1 and 5? They're on the same side, so they're consecutive. Are they interior or exterior? Interior. Consecutive interior angles. All right. 1 and 8. Are they congruent or supplementary? Are they marked to be equal? Nope, they're not equal. One is marked, one is not marked. Plus, they're sitting side by side to form a linear pair. So these are supplementary because they are a linear pair. All right, 4 and 7. Are 4 and 7 congruent or supplementary? Look at how they're marked. If they're marked, they're equal. They're congruent because they are the exact same, because what kind of relationship do they have? They're the same side and sitting in the same spot, so they're corresponding. So corresponding angles are congruent. All right, 7 and 8. What can you tell me about angles 7 and 8? They are congruent because they are what kind of angles? Alternate, because they're on different sides of the transversal and they are exterior to the parallel lines. Now my zigzag thing only works on a transversal that is cutting parallel lines. All right, 1 and 6. Now, they're not marked at all. The marked ones are equal to each other, and then you told me 2, 1, 6, and 3 were equal. So 1 and 6 are congruent. And why are they congruent? What kind of angles are those? They're on opposite sides of the transversal, so that's alternate. But are they interior or exterior? Interior, because they are in between the two parallel lines. All right, what about angles 2 and 7? Are they congruent or are they supplementary? Are they marked to be congruent? Nope. One is marked congruent to these others. That one is not. So they are supplementary. And they are on the same side and exterior. So these are consecutive exterior angles. And then finally, we've got 4 and 8. What can you tell me about angle 4 and angle 8? They are congruent. What kind of angles are 4 and 8? Those are your vertical angles, because vertical angles are across the intersection from each other. All right, so on the back, now you're going to start having numbers, okay? It is my advice to you to label everything, and then I like to zigzag down my transversal first, then tell you what everything is. So for instance, on number 6 or on number 3, if the measure of angle 6 is 142 degrees, I want you to zigzag and see what else is 142 degrees. Now this is your transversal. That is a transversal that cuts these two parallel lines in half. You can zigzag down a transversal. You cannot zigzag down a parallel line. So 142 is immediately equal to 1 because those are vertical angles. Okay? You could the reason the zigzag works is 6 is corresponding to 8 and 1 corresponds to 3. Zigzag, zigzag. So if 6 is 142, what's 1? All right. And if 1 is 142, 6 is 142, what's 3? 142, and that makes 8, 142. So immediately, angle 1 is 142 degrees. Angle 3 is 142 degrees, and angle 8, which apparently I did not change. Let's make 6. We've already got 6. Let's turn this into an 8. Okay. That's going to be 142 degrees. Okay. Now, here's the ultimate question. How are you going to find the other 4? From what? Why? Quit playing footsie. Because it makes a straight line. So, 180 minus 142. I'm going to take my calculator. 180 minus 142 gives me 38 degrees. So if angle 5 is 38 degrees, what is angle 2? 38 degrees. And if I zigzag to my alternate interior, 7 is 38 degrees. And its vertical angle of 4 is 38 degrees. I don't know why I wrote 32, because it's 38. I think I was looking at the 142. Thank you, friend. All right, so look at number 7. These are your parallel lines. Here is your transversal. So I'm going to color my transversal orange. All right. If I'm told angle 8 is 73 degrees, what is congruent to angle 8? It would be angle 6. So I'm going to zigzag down that line. Zigzag, zigzag. So if 8 is 73, 6 is 73. If 8 is 73, 7 is 73 degrees. And if 7 is 73, 5 is 73 degrees. I'm supposed to find the other measures. All right, so I'm going to do angle 2 right here. 180 minus 73, because 180 and 73 make a straight line. Angle 2 equals 107 degrees. Angle 2 is equal to 4, which is 107. Angle 4 is then equal to angle 3, which is 107. And angle 3 equals angle 1, which is 107 degrees. So, knowing that information, here's what I want from you. I want you to try to do example 5. Knowing that if angle 5 is 82 degrees, I need you to find all those other angle measures. All right, so let's look at example 5. So, example 5 says that angle 5 is 82. Here's what I would do. I would use my vertical angles and my alternate interior angles to zigzag all the way down. This is my transversal, because this line is cutting 2 or more parallel lines. So, mark what is congruent. 5 is congruent to 8, which is congruent to 6, which is congruent to 9. Now go back the other way. What is 5 also congruent to? Zigzag to 7 and zigzag to 4. So, angle 4 is 82 degrees. Angle 7 is 82 degrees. Angle 5 I've already got. Angle 8 is 82 degrees. Angle 6 is 82 degrees. And angle 9 is 82 degrees. So I need to find all of the other ones. The other ones are equal to each other. So I just need to figure it out. So if 4 is 82 degrees and 1, they make a straight line. I do 180 minus 82 degrees for a total of 98 degrees. So angle 1 is 98 degrees, which goes to angle 10 is 98 degrees, which zigzags to its alternate interior angle of 2 is 98 degrees. Its vertical is 11, that is 98 degrees. Its alternate interior of 3 is 98, and that one's vertical is 98 degrees as well. So if at all possible, you're using vertical angles, corresponding angles, alternate interior, you're using all of those, but simply saying zigzag, because zigzag is less for us to remember. All right, so ultimately what you're doing is you are looking for either linear pairs or congruent angles if at all possible. So This angle is 65. This angle is 1. These are easy to find because what do these two create? These two create a straight line. So how do I find out what angle 1 is? All right, and what is 180 minus 65 going to give us? My friend is telling me 115. So the measure of angle 1 equals 115 degrees. I trust him, but you verify. Okay, so if it's a linear pair, I go ahead and calculate it. Now, this is where students are going to get crazy messed up because you've got more complex looking figures. You've got two actual transversals. So you've got the orange transversal because it intersects at angles at those two lines. This is a yellow transversal. It is truly a transversal because it intersects the two parallel lines. Now, I want angle 2. Is angle 2 on and touching, as that's what I mean by on, the orange transversal or the yellow? It's on the orange. So, this is 2. This is 65. These are alternate exterior angles. What do you know about alternate exterior angles? They're the same. If you know they're the same, you've got it. Otherwise, you can do this. 65, 65, 65, 65. So what's the measure of angle 2? 65 degrees. Okay? If you know they're alternate interior angles, immediately you know they're congruent. You put down 65. If you don't and you like to do my zigzag, that's fine too. All right, so I've got in number 7, I've got 3 parallel lines being cut by 2 transversals. So this is one transversal. I got an orange transversal and I've got this yellow transversal. Okay. I've got to find angles 1 and 2. Well, here's angle 1. It's sitting right beside 72 degrees. So together, what do they create? They actually create that yellow transversal line. So are these congruent or supplementary? They equal each other, they add to equal 180. A straight line is 180. Thank you, friends. So if I know this part is 72, how do I find angle 1? 180 minus 72. And 180 minus 72, what'd you get? 108 degrees. So the measure of angle 1 equals 108 degrees. Okay? Angle 2, is angle 2 sitting on the yellow or the orange transversal? On the yellow. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to zigzag all the way down. Zig, zag, zig, zag, zigzag. What is angle 2 marked congruent to? Angle 2 and 72 are congruent. So the measure of angle 2 equals 72 degrees. So even though that's a much harder looking figure than the ones before, it's the same work. All right. 8 might send you really close to being over the edge. You have 3 parallel lines. You technically have 3 transversal lines, okay? You have this slanted, you have this slanted, and you have this one that's almost straight up and down. Everything is on the same transversal here, so this is the only one that's useful because that's where everything is that I need to find, okay? So if I want to zigzag, this is 85. This whole part is 85. Zigzag, 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 zigzag. What is 85 equal to? Which angle that you were looking for? What's it marked as? 85, 85, 85, 85, 85, 85. So angle 2 is exactly equal to 85 degrees. Okay? That means every one of these is 85. So if this is 85 and that makes a straight line, this is 85 and it makes a straight line. How are you going to find angle 1? 180 minus 85. What's 180 minus 85? Will be 95 degrees because they are supplementary. These are consecutive interior angles. All right, one more. We're not done. Don't move. We still got time. All right. I'm looking at this transversal. Now, 53 is talking about this angle. If this is 53, what else do you know? Angle 2 is 53, so that's 53. And then that would zigzag here and here. All right, so how am I going to find angle 1? Very good. 180 minus 53, which gives me 127 if I typed it correctly. Okay, all right. So that is how you find your angle measures with your parallel lines cut by transversal.